Hey, it's the Brian and Kindra show without Brian, which is fine. I can handle this all on my own. It'll be, oh, hi.
It's rodeo week.
Yes, I guess it is. You want to tell us about your fancy getup?
Well, you see, we wanted to make this fun video.
Is there a song about a rhinestone cowboy?
It's probably a rhinestone cowboy. I think so. I haven't, I don't know the lyrics because I'm not a music guy.
I mean, this is not personal in any way, shape, or form. But this is not what I think of when I think of rodeo cowboy.
Oh, you don't?
No. It's
rodeo clown?
I didn't say that.
Oh, well.
Actually, the clowns don't quite look like that either.
So, yeah, see, Yeah, I thought we're going to make a video. We got to get our uniform.
I feel underdressed.
Yes. Well, I didn't change my scope. Sorry about that.
Man, I bet Nathan did not appreciate that.
Yeah, ran into the mic. So, I mean, I have my other shirt, but didn't feel like I didn't dress up quite as much. So.
So you dressed down a little.
I dressed down a little bit. This was my barbecue beef shirt, my Texas barbecue beef shirt.
That's awesome. And tell us about your hat.
Well, I mean, I haven't owned a cowboy hat in 25 years, and we're going to make a cowboy rodeo video, and you got to dress the part.
You have your boots on today?
I have my boots on today. See, I am all cowboyed up and ready.
You are ready.
I am ready.
You're ready. When is the rodeo? It's right now?
They're now.
I mean, right now they're probably like already getting into the stands and waiting for the mutton bustin.
That's right.
Man, I love mutton bustin. It's stinking hilarious. Those little kids are so cute.
It's a racket.
It's way fun.
So, yeah.
Anyway, okay. Well, glad you could join us today.
Yeah, if you haven't.
Almost like we have a guest.
If you haven't got tickets yet, we may have some more at the office. We've been kind of giving some away.
Yeah, give us a shout.
If you haven't seen a rodeo video, you should go see it.
Without a doubt.
It was so much fun. We made it.
It was pretty fun.
Yep.
Cool, dude. All right. You ready to
I'm ready. This jacket's hot. I'm killing it. So.
Okay, let's do this. Go. Man, I feel like a whole different personality just showed up.
The whole cowboy hat. We're gonna get some comments on this show.
Yeah, I bet we will. All right. Okay, so I wanted to talk about, and I don't know what to call this show, but I wanted to talk to some sellers. I wanted to give some sellers just some ideas of what to expect, because we talk a lot to buyers. And I think that's because in some respects, the buying part is the hard part. Like the buyers have to get the loan or have their cash available, and they're the ones stepping into something that they're not sure about. Right. They don't know the property, so they have to do inspections. There's all the buyer things that have to happen. But I don't feel like sellers necessarily... I'm not sure that we've done a great job of letting a seller know what's coming up. Yeah. And so we had a transaction recently, and I was a little uncertain about some things that had been happening on the seller's side. And finally, it occurred to me halfway through, and I think, I don't know, something that he said just jarred me and made me go, oh my goodness, I've been making an assumption that he knows all of this, and he was not aware of what's really expected of a seller and how to handle things, how to work through negotiations, how to do any of it. And so it kind of made me just step back and start over again in many respects with that particular seller, which then made me run into you and go, we've got to talk about this, because I want this stuff to be relevant. I like the fun part. Like, man, I love the fun part. I loved being live whenever we were like live. Like, I mean, we're still alive. Yeah. Yes. But it's fun to do the fun things. But man, this one is so serious. And I think it's very, very relevant to our sellers now. So we are going to talk about some things that we want sellers. So I don't know what we call it. Did you have a name for it? Like, can you make something up really fast? Put your jacket back on. Okay. See if it helps.
It's like a game show. It's a jacket or something.
It was. I don't know. Okay. So sellers, we're talking to you.
Yes.
I also have written on this paper, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but the word particulous. I don't know if I made it up or if Nathan said it wrong.
Particular and meticulous.
Meticulous and particular all at the same time comes out to particulous.
Particulous.
And it does. That's right. Because we talked about, I feel like it should be a little...
Particulous.
What's that? Yeah, with the wand.
Spell.
Thanks. Oh my gosh. We really should do these always in the morning, because my afternoon brain is like stupid. Okay. There was other words we talked about that were like spell words too, but I can't remember what they are now. All right. So I want to start with offer etiquette.
Okay.
I think one of the hardest parts about negotiation is either you think too far about it or you don't think enough. And so I wanted to really kind of just, first and foremost, our contracts are supposed to have a termination date.
Yes.
And so we are supposed to answer the offers within that time frame. And so a lot of times, what do we see? We see 1 day, we see 2 days. If it comes in on a Friday, we might even see until Monday because we know, I mean, there might be other things going on with that. Maybe they need to call their bank. The seller might even need to call their bank and say, how much do I really owe? What can I really get by with? What do I really need? Or maybe they need to, whatever the case is, they might need a little extra time. I have found, like a lot of times whenever I type them, like I take into consideration what I know about the other party. Because we know, like, I mean, you have customers that you know are going to take longer.
Right.
You know, customers that are be quick. Some of them, it's just, they might make a quick decision, but we know that they might be delayed in answering it just because signatures might be hard to get, right?
Right.
So, but we got to pay attention to that. So seller etiquette, number 1.
Yes.
Please, you need to respond in a timely fashion to your offer.
Yes. And that's really more of a, I always say, keep it in the court, keep it on the court. Like, let's keep the game going.
Yes.
That's part of the deal. Obviously, if they offer you, you're wanting 100,000, they offer you 50 and you're not interested. I mean, it's an easy, quick no. But again, we like to keep it in the court. You know, if you're willing to take 98, let's counter the 50 at 98.
Right.
And then see what we can do. But again, it's not about.
We've got a customer right now that they've had 2 or 3 offers recently, very far apart from their listing. And I'm so, like, I'm proud of them, which sounds very maternal, and I know that, but I'm so proud whenever they're like, well, I definitely can't do that. And I said, well, do you mind going ahead and countering even something, even close to listing, but just let them know that it's not that you're not willing to entertain offers. You're just really far apart. And they're like, absolutely. They're willing to take the time to go ahead and sign the counter offer, even though we're not close together. Right. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And so, yeah, that comes back to timing and keeping the game going and keeping the negotiations going, keep everybody moving forward. The other thing is you don't want something else to hit the market and they jump and buy something different. You want to keep that buyer on the hook.
Okay, so that moves right into be prepared to put your counter offer in writing.
I mean, your house is on the market to sell. You should know your numbers, what you're willing to take. I don't like coming in and negotiate. I don't like knowing those things. 2 reasons why. Number 1, I don't want anybody to think that I'm driving somebody down to their bottom dollar.
Right.
So when we list your house at whatever number, say it's 100,000 and you're willing to take 80, I don't really particularly need to know that number.
No.
But you need to know that number.
Yes.
So when we start negotiating, I'm be like, hey, we got an offer at 80. You know, what do you want to do? How do you want to handle this? You know, and we don't mind talking through those and we don't mind knowing. Right. You gotta know we're not going to use that against you.
Right.
We just want to know. Well, I mean, we had one the other day that they took substantially less than I thought they would ever take. And I thought it sold for substantially less than the house was even worth. But timing was different and the other circumstances on the line. And so again, it comes like, we don't know. So knowing that number so you can speed the process along is important.
Absolutely. Okay, so since we're talking about negotiating, really, I wanted, and my text messages are almost, I don't know why I'm stuttering. I swear it's because it's afternoon. Legit, I cannot get my game in gear or something. Okay, so one of the things that, I mean, I bet I say this 95% of the time on a seller offer. Whenever I present the offer, I do it in writing and I text them and I say, we have an offer. They've offered $80,000 with $1,000 earnest money to close at this closing company on this or that date, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Whenever I do that, I always say, your options are to accept, reject, or counter. And I say, we rarely, if ever, recommend rejection. And then the sellers are able to immediately begin to think, okay, well, what would I be okay with? Or how do I want to respond? And then we can talk through all those different things. Rejection is just so final.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that I was surprised at. Some sellers don't know that. Some sellers think, you send the offer, I don't like it, I reject it, we move on. And that's not really, not always. You might be moving on for a long time.
Because the next one that comes available may be...
It's like you slam the door in the face.
Yep.
right?
Well, sometimes their offers are offensive, but it comes
Sure.
back to you got to take your emotions out of the picture and put it in a business strategy. Like this is a business transaction. There are emotions involved, but transaction wise,
Right.
you want to keep it in a business format. It'll help you negotiate better.
And that's the hardest part. And we're going to talk about my dad here in a little bit, because my dad really is the one that first showed me this accidentally whenever we were selling his house. But it is, I mean, there is very much a level of emotion in selling and buying both. But really, when it comes down to it, it's about what affordability is and what you need in order to fit your lifestyle, whether selling and what you need back, or purchasing and what you need to put into.
Right.
And so you have to look at it business-wise.
So I want to bring one thing up.
Yes, please.
Why people sometimes make crazy offers? Like you're selling your house for 100 and they come in and offer 60.
Why?
Well, it's because they can afford 60. Like you were just saying, affordability.
Right.
They started looking at $40,000 houses and $50,000 houses and $60,000 houses. And there's nothing on the market. So they're like, well, I guess I can really only afford 60. Maybe we can find something in the $80,000 range that they'll come down to. Or when there's nothing there either. So then we go clip to 100 and they start looking, and then they just start making some offers just to see if they could luckily find something, and also to be ready when they can increase their purchase price. But that's why you see that, especially in Woodward, because there's not a lot of availability of housing.
Right. And what there is may not even be appropriate for their
loan or their
thank you for their
amount.
loan type.
So yeah.
Okay. So what is negotiable? What are things that we might see on our contract?
Whoosh.
Everything.
Everything.
Like
Everything.
legit.
Yes.
Even the parts that are already typed that aren't a fill in the blank part of our contract, even those are negotiable.
Yeah.
Like everything is negotiable. Time frame for inspections. This is one that I like to try to pay attention to, because the way that the current contract is written and the way that most of the agents tend to counter offer and Woodward is that inspection period is basically 13 days, roughly 13 days from the time of the contract. Then if we have closing 30 days after the contract, or maybe 6 weeks after, that 30 days minus the inspection period doesn't leave a lot of time to get title work done, abstracting completed, and complete the loan process and all those different things. And so that's something that could be negotiated. Now, I think that they need that much time, but we have to be careful if we start seeing 15 days of time periods, if we see 20 days, and we want to pay attention to that. And so that's us helping you as a seller to be able to go, okay, I just want to alert you to this. What do you think about it? And then if you're cool with it, you're cool with it. If you're not, we can counteroffer it.
Right.
Right. Next up. So you're yawning and I'm stuttering. Like
It's the
price. Price is what's most, I know this is not the way that the order should have gone.
Right.
But price is usually what's negotiated.
Yeah. And they get hung up on that a lot because there's more to a
People think
transaction.
that's the only thing to negotiate, and it's not.
Right.
Sometimes the price might be fine, but the terms might not be. You might be absolutely cool with the $80,000 on your $100,000 house, but you are not cool with a 30-day close. You need a 60-day close. Then we counteroffer the closing date. Like closing date can be counteroffered. Everything can be counteroffered. Closing company. It's really it's interesting. We've seen this change a lot since we've been in real estate. Like when it first started, it was like the seller chose, and then it was they agreed. Then it was the buyer chose, and it is tricky with this closing company thing. There's 3 different closing companies in town. You're not married to one, and so if your offer comes in and it has one, and you'd like to try a different one, you can counteroffer that.
Right.
We don't see that very often, but it has come up recently, and I thought, well, maybe we need to talk about it. Earnest money.
That's a big deal.
I want to talk about it.
We got one now that we should have paid more
So
attention.
is earnest money a standard amount?
No.
Might be standard, but it's not a required amount, right?
Right.
So earnest money, it can be $0.
Yep.
It can be the full amount. Like you've done one like that, haven't you?
Yep. And full, brought me a personal check for the full amount, put in escrow.
So that can be a negotiation tool. I think that that's one of those things that, man, you got to really pay attention to. You don't just get earnest money back. If the contract fails, it's not necessarily that you immediately get the earnest money back and it goes into your pocket. That's not the way that this works. But if your buyer breaches, then you might be entitled to some or all the earnest money.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So you want to pay attention. So if it's $1 million property, $1,000 is really probably not enough earnest money to put down. One of the things that I ask sellers to pay attention to, if they ask me about that, if it's 100% loan and the buyer's asking for closing cost and they say $250 earnest money, it's probably because they don't have any more cash to put down. And I don't know that, but if those are your circumstances, it's kind of an easy thing to make an assumption about. And I know what assumptions are. I'm not stupid, but still, we can see that. But if you've got a 20% down payment and you've got a $500 earnest money on a $200,000 house,
that doesn't make sense.
Seller might want to counteroffer that.
Absolutely.
And they can. That's You're right. You can counteroffer that.
And a lot of the times we know the lenders and they're like, yeah, they're highly qualified and this is going to be easy and plenty of money down. And so sometimes that earnest money isn't as detrimental to the contract. It's not like a live and die on heel deal.
Right. Okay. Respect time frames in a contract. This is one of the things that I wanted to discuss. Sometimes some sellers are like, go, 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 go. And then some sellers are like, oh, when it happens, it'll be fine. And it can get to the detriment of the contract because we really have a time is of the essence situation happening here. And we need to be prepared. We need to be ready and set to go. So that was just a little. Just pay attention. Whenever we tell you this is what's going to happen, this is what our timeframes are. We got to keep that up on our end as well.
Yep.
Do you have anything to add?
Nope.
What it makes me think of though is repairs based off of inspections.
Yeah.
Don't wait till last minute.
Yeah. They're due before closing, but man,
that might really mean before appraisal.
Yeah. Well, and the buyer has the right to do a final inspection to check all that. So if it's an hour before closing, then if they don't like it, then they don't have to accept it and they can stop the whole closing.
So you want to be thinking of those kinds of things whenever you think about timeframes.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a fun one. Let's talk about as is.
Which one?
So
as is very complicated.
It's very complicated because what does it really even mean?
If you write it true as is, true, like I'm not doing inspection. So as is with inspections or as is without inspections. So I've bought properties as is, where is, no inspections. Here's your check. Let's close. And then we have people even now that have bought a house as is. Our contracts are as is.
Technically. Because they say that the buyer is not, that the seller is not obligated to do any kind of repairs, but the buyer can do inspections and they can request repairs based off of their inspections. So it's technically as is, but it's as is with some opportunities for the buyer to make sure that they're comfortable with the property.
Right. And I just take it to the end of the, like, hey, let's make a worst case scenario. So I'm showing somebody your house and we're getting into the house and we discover there's a sinkhole in the middle of the house. Like, you didn't know, they didn't know. Are they forced to buy your house? No. Are you forced to fix your house? No.
No, go ahead, live in the sinkhole.
Right. So it's one of those, you can take both ends of the deal. You're not required, they're not required.
So I wanted to bring that up because as many times as we have buyers say right in there that it's as is, but we're still going to do our inspections. We also have sellers say, hey, this sells as is.
And fixing nothing.
And I feel it. Like, I get it. They don't want to do anything more. They don't want to put another dime in it. They are tired. And a lot of times this is like a family property. And I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
My kids are probably going to be like, listen, we're selling mom's house as is. They don't want to deal with it anymore. Okay, fine. Except that when it comes down to what if it's just a little $900, what if it's a termite situation and you can remediate that pretty quickly and move on to closing? Is it still as is?
Yeah, right. No, it wasn't.
So we really just want to just bring that up and just let you think about it. You have the right to look through the repairs that are requested and say no to the ones that are crazy to you and say yes to the ones that you're willing to do. I recommend you not, like, as is, it's not the hill I want to die on.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you need to add anything else to that?
Well, because most of the time those as-is things, when they come up in the disclosures now, the next buyer means we have to disclose all that. So we're really talking to you sellers. Hey, somebody comes in and says, wow, we found a bad spot in the roof. We're backing out, or you fix it, or we're backing out, or whatever. Now, as the seller, your obligation is to disclose it. If you don't disclose it, my liability and legal obligation is I
You're
have to now
disclosing
disclose it. So we, as real estate agents, if we find a default in the property, we have to disclose it. That's our duties as well. So you can't hide it.
No, and we will fill out that little licensee disclosure. We were in a meeting one time where the instructor said, "Who all fills out licensee disclosures?" And quite a few in the Woodward population went, "We do."
Yeah.
And they seemed kind of shocked. But man, we're not going to be a part of hiding something. Like we're not going to do it.
Nope,
not going to happen. So, all right, verbal offers.
Might as well not be one.
A verbal offer is not the same as a contract.
No. And our goals are to quickly get offers in. I mean, our contract says time is of the essence. So, which we brought that up several times and negotiating everything. But when you want to make an offer, even like Friday, you want to make an offer. We had somebody look at a house on Monday and then they said, I think we want to make an offer. And then by Friday, both people decided to make an offer on the same house.
Right.
And both of them looked at it on Monday or
Within
Tuesday.
30 stinking minutes.
Yeah, it's like, well, how does this? And it seems to always happen that way. So when you say, hey, we want to make an offer, we do our darndest to get that thing put in writing and submitted to the seller quickly. So
we will type that by the pool.
Yes, you will. And so as a seller, when we're presenting you an offer, that's why we want to get it to you at times of the essence so that you have time to think about it, even if it's 8 o'clock on a Friday night or,
right,
whatever.
You don't have to answer at 8 o'clock on Friday night. Did I even say that? Did I say that weird?
Yeah.
It sounded really weird in my head. But we do need to discuss it again on Saturday or whatever the time frame is. But we need to get it to you so you can have it in your mind so you can be thinking about it.
Yep.
Okay, last thing on my list. We've never done one on this before, but we need to talk about fair housing. It didn't occur to me how easy, did you get it printed off?
Nope.
I didn't either. Cool. It'll be fine. It didn't occur to me. So there are fair housing regulations, rules, laws that we need to be abiding by. And I think as a general rule, realtors do. It didn't occur to me how that might actually become a little tricky for a seller, that a seller may not even realize because they don't know. Like a seller doesn't know, a buyer may not know what fair housing things are. And so I just wanted to hit that really quick.
Right.
And so a long time ago, I didn't ask my dad if it was okay for me to share this, so I hope it is. I bet I find out soon. My dad was so darn cute whenever we sold their house a long time ago. But this is what he said. He said, first, he wanted way more money for that house than what I came up with on my CMA.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And I heard him say, but I love this house. We have so many good memories here, and you don't really get paid for the memories that you made in home. Mm-hmm. You really don't. Some of your homes, it would be deficits because they may not be happy, right? Lived there. Okay, so this was such a happy home, and my dad wanted to sell it for more than what I could get for the price per square foot with the amenities and all those things. He also said, now listen, sis, don't sell that to anybody but a family. This home needs another happy family. And he meant it. Like he wanted me to pick and choose who the buyers were. And I thought, oh no, I can't do that, Dad. I said, no, Daddy, we're just going to I'm going to present you all the offers and you're going to choose the buyer that, the price that fits you the best. We can't just pick out the best family. Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
But it's real. It's a real thing.
So here's the list.
So here's our list.
Who is protected?
We have to pay attention.
Who is protected? Race, color, national origin, religion, sexual identity, orientation, familiar status, and disability. So we can't discriminate because you're in a wheelchair or you're whatever. Not even, there could be all kinds of disability there.
Sure.
But so yeah, all of that's there. So we can't say, it's got to be to a family.
The thing is, like, it sounds so sweet, and think, well, it's not offensive whenever they say that. I'm
protecting my neighbors. I'm my mom lives next door, and I don't want to turn into whatever.
But we can't go there, and so we need to just kind of let you know as a seller, you really can't go there either, or else. If you are, we need to release the listing. Yeah, like we cannot be a part of that, and we don't want to be.
No, and what's crazy is we haven't. There's been a few times in our career that
Mhm.
I've dealt with somebody that's like prejudiced, and it's
Oh, gosh.
weird.
Yeah.
It's even uncomfortable, and you would think I don't know how people could live that way, but yeah, it was, very
And
few.
I really haven't come across that.
Very, very few.
And I mean, even with that story I shared about my dad, when I said, "Now, Dad, we can't really pick and choose," and
Right.
oh no, I know, of course not. But I
would
do
prefer.
hope, because he really wanted kids playing. Like he wanted. I mean, when I show houses, I say this. Well, you can still throw a ball back here. You can throw a
Yeah.
ball in this yard. You can bake a pie in that kitchen, and that's what he wanted. He wanted. Because that's what he saw with us kids. We played baseball in the backyard. We played basketball in the front, and we played. Nope, just kidding. I made pies in that kitchen. That's what he wanted. He just wanted to see that again. But he didn't. He knew that wasn't a hill he could die on. He knew
Right.
that really wasn't the way to negotiate his contracts. So anyway, what else? Do you have anything else that we need to add to that?
And that fair housing is for everything. It's for landlords, tenants.
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up.
Buying, selling, mortgaging, lending.
Stop on lending.
Okay.
Age. Was age part of that?
Age was not on the list because they do discriminate on age when you go to like the 55 and older housing out here south of town.
Interesting. But on a
So-
mortgage, I remember whenever I first started that I'd called Connie Rowland. She was, I don't know who she was with back then. This was quite some time ago. And I said, "Hey, I've got this buyer and they're worried they won't be able to get a loan because she's 82. And she goes, "Kindra, we can't decide who gets a loan based off of their age. It's based off of their, what's the word?
Credit
Whether or not
worthiness.
they are, credit worthiness and stuff." And I remember getting kind of tickled because I think she might have been a little upset with me. I was just repeating what that precious woman said.
Yeah. That's funny.
I didn't
But
know.
yeah, it's not, the age is not in there.
All right. What else, though? That applies to lending. What else does it apply to? Did I interrupt you too much?
No, I think the biggest thing is like there's some benefits out there for people with, I'm going to say physical disabilities. So some houses just don't make sense.
Sure.
I mean, you can sell it to them. And then you may feel like you're discriminating when you go to, I'm not going to fix that for them. But there's some benefits out there that you need to be paying attention to. Well, again, we don't deal with that a lot, but, so we have an individual purchasing a home now. It's pretty exciting that the house actually fits him well. And he can move in without a bunch of repairs and work.
Sure.
So yeah. Again, we just want to get your house sold.
Yes, we do.
To a person. We're going to discriminate people only.
That's fine. But you can bring your dog or not.
Yeah. So, hey, come by, get some rodeo tickets if you come by the office between now and the end of the rodeo. It is rodeo week.
As long as we have any left.
That's right. You probably won't catch me in a cowboy hat. Maybe one more time this week at the rodeo. I'm going to be working one of the front gates that night, Saturday. So come see us. Appreciate you listening. It's the Brian and Kindra Show. Brian Cook, 580-334-2303.
And I'm Kindra Brown, 580-216-0090.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.